I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I
Oh,
am from,
okay.
that's where I'm from.
I get a
And
lot of people from Ohio. Okay, God bless y'all.
and
Yeah,
growing up, I grew up with my mom and my dad, both my mom and my dad,
nice.
to a
Mhm.
certain extent, right?
Oh,
So, my mom and dad split up around when I was like 9 years old due
mm,
to the epidemic of drugs and things like that.
mm.
I did not, I've always had, now let me take it. We did have the block of cheese, right? But we also had the craft too. We always had everything. So we
Yeah,
had,
I like the block better.
yeah, the block is delish. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, my mom, she at the time when I was younger, she did go to school. My dad worked. He migrated from Mississippi up to Ohio. He worked at Ford Motor. My mom
Wow.
is originally from Ohio, and they met. When not, my mom already had a child prior to me, which is my brother that was 7 years older than me.
Okay.
And we grew up in East Cleveland, Ohio. That's from what I could remember when she had me, East Cleveland, Ohio. And we would stay there to about 89. And then we moved to the other side of town, which is on still the east side of town, but we'll call it the other side of town,
The
which
other
is
side
on
of town.
Harvard with my grandmother.
Mhm.
And at that point, that's when like my mom and my dad had split. And we stayed with my grandmother for about a year. And then we ended up with so back when we stayed together, we all had an apartment, right? And it was a
Okay.
huge apartment, a
Mhm.
3-bedroom apartment, and I had my own room. I had everything. My mom for
Mm.
Christmas, when if it came to um my baby Heather, that's what I remember, baby Heather.
Who's
Um,
baby Heather? That's the
it was
dog?
a doll, and the
Uh,
doll, she eat, talk, pee, and do
oh,
everything.
yes,
I wanted her
yes.
so bad. So whatever I wanted, Cabbage Patch, I always had two of a white one and the black one. I always had two. Always wanted the white one and I wanted the
Nice.
black one. So,
Yes, yes.
so and my stuffed animal. So I had a full room, a tea set. I had everything. And my mom would take me out as a little girl. My imagination is wild. So I thank my mom to that. We'll go outside and play, make mud pies. And back in the day, they don't grow anymore. There used to be big green leaves outside, right? And they were
Right.
my greens because I used to watch my grandmother pick greens. So those were my greens for my baby dolls and my stuffed animals. And I'll bring the stuff back in the house, take some of my mom's seasonings and stuff, and it would start stinking in there, but whatever. And and we'll have
I'm
tea
loving this.
parties
Yes.
and things like that. And my dad always worked. So he was never really the kind that was at home a lot, right? Even to this day,
Mhm.
my daddy, he's outside right now,
Oh,
probably.
he's outside?
Probably,
Oh, okay.
yes, he's outside right now. But he always worked, so he worked second shift. My mom worked, she didn't work at that time. And he'll be gone and we'll do our thing or whatever prior to me getting into school age, going to school. And what was it? We would just, I don't know, we read books. I had encyclopedias, I had all of that. But we
Mm.
walked to school. I didn't have a bus. My
How
mom,
far? How far did you
well, the walk was maybe, I'm gonna say, I don't know. Let's say about a mile, if
Okay.
that. My
Yeah.
mom would walk us to school. You know, she never would not let me like walk to school by myself. I wanted to walk to school by myself, but she didn't. She'll walk me to and from school every day. She'll be there. My dad went to work, and we didn't. It was only one car, and I remember he had a Pontiac. It was one car,
Ah,
and I didn't know that women could drive because I only see my dad drive, right? And
wow.
when he did leave and she started driving, I was nervous, had panic attacks. I'm like, I don't think women could drive. And she would get on the highway, and I only remember my father always driving. So, those are like some of my beginnings of growing up. Had a really good childhood. Then when we transitioned from my home in East Cleveland to my grandmother's house over on Harvard Avenue,
Mhm.
then that's when, yeah,
That's when it started. Mhm.
that's when it started where I had to sleep on the floor.
Mhm.
Sleep in my grandmother's room on the floor or in my aunt's room on the floor or whatever, because it was like about 17 of us, I think, at the house at the time. Because my mom was there with her two children, that's three, my grandmother, my
Mhm,
aunt and
mhm.
her two children. I had two uncles in the basement
Whoa.
and cousins that would come over. Yeah.
Yeah, right, bunch of cousins. I knew it. I
And
knew
it
it.
was a
Mhm.
three-bedroom house up and
Mhm.
down, but we made it work and it felt good. It never felt like, oh my God, it's a
Is that
struggle.
oh, okay, good. I was gonna ask you about that transition because you go from having the dolls and and the teacups, and you had your own room, and then you sleeping on the floor. So that had to have been a major transition. That's a major shift.
It was a big transition, but
Yeah.
it didn't bother me. I
It
just
didn't. Okay.
conformed to it, whatever. I understood the circumstances and what was going on. And then my mom got us a place with myself, my brother, and her. And then we moved around the corner from my grandmother, not too far or whatnot. And it was back again, had my own room and things like that. So she made it. You know what my mom was? She was someone that she came from poverty, right? And it was six of them. So she made sure no
Ooh.
matter what, we had
Mhm.
everything. Even if
Yes.
she didn't have it, and even if it was a struggle, she made it look really good. So
She
I
knew
didn't
how to
know
make
it
it
was a
work.
struggle. Right.
Yeah. She knew, yeah, she did the best she could for what she had. So
Yeah, she
yeah.
did the absolute best she could. Like my mom would do some things to make it happen for her kids.
Unique? Was that around the time when, the drugs entered
Well,
into?
the drugs entered when I was about 7 years
Okay.
old or so or
Mm.
whatnot. When drugs hit the scene in the 80s or whatnot. And my mom wasn't on drugs or whatnot, but she did get caught up with being selling drugs. And
Oh, oh.
um, yeah, we had a drug bust in our house in East Cleveland.
Ooh.
That's what we had to move. Yeah.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was
Okay.
a big transition. But once again, I always went with the flow. My mom never, one thing about my mom that I can appreciate, my mom and my dad, they always taught me what not to do. Even though when they were doing things, I've always been the person, taught
Right.
sense is better than bought
Right.
sense,
Don't
right?
follow my example. Mhm.
And
Don't
she didn't say
don't
don't
do.
follow my example. She never said
Oh,
that.
I should have said that. Oh,
I just didn't want
you
that.
just knew.
Yeah,
Right. You
right.
just knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
got you. Got you.
So as I got older and got kids, and I realized like that was crazy. What was she thinking about? You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize it was crazy because all of my friends at the time, everyone, we had perfect little homes, perfect little families, all of the, kids. And then I started seeing the parents on drugs and things like that.
Yes.
And I seen how it divided the families.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
normal at that time to me. And it was kind of embarrassing because I would hear some of the kids say, your mom sell drugs. And I didn't, it was like kind of embarrassing, but not really, because it was a time that at school, my mom had, she was something else. She'll tell me, my dad, he worked at Ford. So, in school, they was, I guess, like career day or something. What do your
Right.
parents do? And I came home and said, yeah, mommy, I told them my daddy, he worked at Ford. She pinched me and said, what happened in our house, stay in our house. You don't go to school and you don't tell them nothing was going on.
Mm.
So I thought
Especially
it
that.
was a bad thing that my
Mhm.
dad worked.
But I
Yes,
mean, but yeah, but why did she want to tell? Didn't want
no
you to?
telling what she had going on. No.
No, I'm talking about,
you know,
as far as
Oh yeah, in
about
my
your
mind,
dad.
exactly. Like I'm like that's a good thing, but
Yeah.
whatever. I don't want that no more. So,
Mm.
um, yeah. So when the drugs hit or whatever, life got kind of fast, and that is at that point with my mom, I wasn't everything. So they say from the ages of 0 to 6 years old, you are going to be who you be, and that is the imperative stage for a child. I had that. So
Mm.
anything after, I already was defined on who I was going to be and what was going to happen. I was already structured. She prayed every night, no matter what. She would
Mm.
pray every night, even in the midst of her doing her crime or whatever. She was praying. And it used to be funny because they would call her Queenie, like she was the queen bee or something.
The queen pen.
It's crazy, crazy. However, with that being said, I just knew certain things I just didn't want to do when I became an adult. I didn't do
Right.
those things.
Right.
And she, repent and she asked for her
Right.
forgiveness and things
Yes.
like
I
that.
was
So
gonna ask. Okay. Yeah. Let's go there, Unique.
yeah.
And yeah, let's go there. Um, and also congratulations on you having the ability to understand right from wrong and knowing, okay, you, because the experience is best teacher. So congratulations on learning from that experience, by the way. I had
Yeah.
to I had to do that too. I watched they actually did it in front of me. They didn't care. They stood
Yeah.
right in front of me, and I'm like,
Exactly.
oh
Yeah, I
damn, I'm
did.
the right, and I'm like, dang. I mean, they had no
I
shame
say
whatsoever.
I
you
never
know?
not it's let's say this. It's
Yeah.
nothing I have not yet seen.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
As a
Okay.
little girl, but it
Yes.
didn't bother
So I'm
me.
glad that you learned from experience, but let's I want to just dig a little, just a little deeper.
Okay.
Um, because like I said, I've grown up. If you he had to enter with my mom. You understand where I'm coming from because she was an addict, and
Okay.
over 30 years clean. Shout out to her.
Yeah, go
That's what I say.
girl.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to tell if I told you. Wouldn't even know. You
Exactly.
wouldn't
She
even know.
reclaimed her life.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yes.
Been there. So in that space, and growing up, and and I'm listening to you, and I was like being able to relate to what you were saying during your childhood, and when you said your mom repented, and because she still loved the Lord. I mean, I think that when you go through certain things, and not to condone what she did, because I'm glad that she realized that someone is wrong, but the fact that she was aware, and sometimes you you know even know what you do is wrong, but I mean, but sometimes when you in the bind, and you go through these situations where financially you're just not able to cut it, and sometimes you just lose, use the last resort, and it's so easy for us to judge our parents or judge certain people, and not really knowing you know, what it is, because we see
Yes.
from outside looking in, but we don't really know what it truly is. You get where I'm
Exactly.
going? Okay.
Yes.
So the fact that she had repented, and she had sincerely, um, asked God for forgiveness. So can you take me to how did that look to you at that time when she transitioned from that space and went and shifted back into, into God's presence, I should say. When she shifted
Okay.
back into God's presence. Can you tell me how that looks for you?
Yeah, so when that okay, so that happened in the 80s, say once we moved to my grandmother's house, she was still going back over to East Cleveland doing the thing. Even though the police had came busted the house and all that. She was still
Yes.
going over there for a while. She was about to go to prison. And she actually didn't, but she wound up being on probation for a lot of years or whatnot. However, and she was trying to find placement for me and my brother to go while she goes to
Yes.
prison.
Mhm.
And what happened was, I don't know. God came in, obviously, because that's the only thing I could say. God came in, and when I say when He came in, meaning that she completely just stopped, and it looked good to me. Like it didn't look like anything. That, like the transition was great. What the transition really happened is when she got into church.
Yes.
In '96,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Give
and
me that
she
stuff. Give me that.
transitioned,
Yes. I
and
love
that
that.
that
Yes.
looked now that looked to me like what would I call him, a spiritual nut. That's what I used to think.
Mm.
It was a
Mm.
bit much because it was religious. Not a
Mm.
spiritual nut, no, it was religious. She was a bit religious because she was in a Pentecostal church, and it was like
Oh,
all of
makes
a
sense.
sudden all of these things that we could do, I can't do no more. Like
Yes.
I had a
Yes.
poster on my wall, I remember,
Major
with two
switch.
big switch
Mhm.
with Tupac and Snoop Dogg. It was a Saint Ives poster.
Mm,
I had
okay.
to take that down because it had demons. Everything was demonic,
Very demonic. Yes. I guess she was like, "Look, I'm just getting back into God's graces now, so I'm like, I don't want to do anything wrong.
Nothing.
I'm trying to make sure that all my T's are crossed and all my I's are dotted."
That part, she said,
She
I done
wasn't
done enough.
playing.
She was not playing at all. Don't. She said I could not listen to my music in the house no more. My little rap music that I would probably listen to.
Right,
All
right.
of that stuff. I'm like, this is crazy, And at that time, I was 18. Because that
Mm,
happened in '96. Yeah, I was 18 years old. So at that time, I was probably more rebellious. She wanted me to go to church. I didn't want to go to church because at that church, like I said, it was a Pentecostal church. They had to wear skirts. Well, at that time, I used to be really, really, really skinny, and I was self conscious of my skinny legs. I never wanted to
aw,
wear skirts,
yeah.
and I just felt like that don't define me. I didn't have the words to verbalize that, but I'm like, that doesn't define me, and that's not going to put me in hell. But I didn't
Right,
know how to
mhm,
say that at that time.
mhm,
I was
right.
just saying no. Like I'm not going to no church, and she like I feel like you're trying to force this on me,
Mm.
and yeah, like yeah, I didn't want that because it was a big switch, like instantly. From one day we was doing this, and the next day we was doing that.
Yeah, and I think it should have been gradual. I think, yeah, I think it should have been more like a, kind of ease it to. But like I said, I do understand your mom's position. Like I said, she's like, "Look, I'm trying to get back into God's good graces," but but there's nothing wrong with just um, helping your children transition into it without a major, because like it's like a major cultural shock, you
Yeah,
know?
that part. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a
definitely.
major. It's like you going through. It's like going through a withdrawal process. To be honest with you, it's like going
Yes,
through a withdrawal. in a
Yeah,
sense, because it's like, okay, how you go from one extreme to another? You got to meet in the middle at some
exactly.
point.
A lot
Yeah.
of judgmental judgments and
Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
But like I said, from the very beginning, she always taught me how to pray. We prayed
Mhm.
every day, no matter what she was into. Because she said it today. I must have been a fool praying to God, asking him one more time, God, just let me do this one more time, knowing what she was doing was wrong. So
Right.
what
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So unique. But thank you for sharing that. And shout out to your mom for her journey. How's she doing?
She's absolutely amazing now. You
Good.
know, my dad, he was the one that had got on the drugs, and I love me. My dad, he's very open, so he was on drugs pretty much from that time. Say about I'm gonna say
Mm.
about 7 or so, up until the last. He's been clean for 15 years, but when I say reclaim his life, I can understand because you would never know. You would
Right.
know.
Yes.
And one thing about my father, he has so much wisdom. He's always had. He's never been a missing in action dad. I always know where he was
He's
at.
always been
It's
present.
just he had a habit. And the thing
Mhm.
is, I always tell both my parents, they didn't know what that stuff was going to do to them.
Right. No, of
They
course
just
not.
tried it. It came into the
Yeah.
neighborhood. They tried it and it rocked their world. Not just
Yes.
my parents, but a lot of parents, a lot of my peers' parents,
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
people. And so they had no idea what. And I really thank them. They showed me what not to be,
What
but in
not
the
to do.
midst of all,
Yes.
they protected me. I have never
Mhm.
been in a situation where I've been kidnapped, raped, molested, nothing. My parents were great parents. We did vacations. We went to the beach. We did family things at home. It was called Jogga Lake. We would do Jogga Lake. That's like a amusement park, like a Six Flags.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our SeaWorld, we did those things as a family, picnics. Like I said, we go feed the ducks. We, they instilled all of that family values,
Nice.
all of that.
Nice.
It's just that part took their
That
life
part.
somewhere. But my dad, he retired from his job. He never lost
Mm.
his job. He's always been like an amazing man. He's
So he's
like
functional.
very functional. And
Wow.
then
That's
to this
amazing.
day, he is the man. I love my daddy. I love him. I love that he went through his journey because he went through it for me, and he's such an amazing man with great wisdom. I love
I
him so
love it.
much. Yeah.
Oh, shout out
That's
to
my
both your
guy.
parents.
That's my guy.
Yes,
We
that's
we
your
talk
guy.
every single day. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to both your parents, for just coming. Shout out to both of them. That's no easy feat. Shout
Yeah, it
out,
was hard.
yeah, shout out to both of them. Yes, I mean, I'm proud of them myself. I don't even know them, but I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
I do understand. I understand it because we both come. I think our history parallel in that sense. So yes, I definitely understand it. So I
Yes.
thank you for sharing that with us, Unique. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.